Morning, everyone. My name is Peter Gal. I'm a Click Enterprise Sales Manager based in Vienna, and I'm happy to invite and welcome you to this interesting webinar. Today is the second day of Data Integration Week. I'm happy to introduce you again our long-standing partner, btProvider, who has been with Click Talend since 2015. From btProvider side, we have Anna and Alex, who are presenting this successful story and talking about the managing data consolidation in a heterogeneous environment. I would kindly ask you, if you have any questions, please use the chat or the Q&A panel. We are gonna answer these questions after the session. The session will took approximately 30-35 minutes, and then we still have time to discuss your questions. So Anna, Alex, the stages are yours.
Thank you, Peter. It is indeed a pleasure to be here. And also, as mentioned yesterday, we are honored and humbled to be invited by Click Talend to participate in the Talend Data Integration Week. A few words about us. So I'm here with my colleague Anna Iancu. She's head of data engineering in btProvider, and I'm taking the role of data architect. Before going into discussing Carrefour, just a few words about ourselves. So our company was founded in 2012. We are proud to say that we are covering all data lifecycle stages in a company, including data integration. In data integration, our tool of choice is Talend. We have worked with Talend in many environments, and we have given Talend very complex tasks, and Talend succeeded flawlessly to handle very, very complex tasks in very heterogeneous environments. Given the fact that we are positioned as a value-added partner in certain customer environments, we have worked with other tools as well. Hence, we have a lot of in-depth knowledge on other data integration tools. However, our tool of choice still is Talend for many, many features that you will discover during this Talend Data Integration Week. We are also handling data warehouse implementation and maintenance activities, where our tool of choice is Vertica. Vertica is currently the most powerful analytical warehouse in the market. And apart from the typical data warehouse jobs, we are comfortable with Vertica, since we are also implementing machine learning scenarios within the database, which is a huge added value to many use cases within customer environments. Similarly, in various environments, we have worked with other data warehouse technologies, including the most modern ones, such as BigQuery and Snowflake. We are also covering data analytics, where basically we are responsible for implementing in various customer environments, Tableau, Google Looker, and Power BI. Starting 2012, we have formed a joint venture with NextConsult, who is a long-standing Salesforce partner. And basically our joint company is handling implementations for sales, service, marketing, and e-commerce. This joint venture was created based on the fact that, simply put, Salesforce projects need data. Okay, and a proper Salesforce implementation requires to be integrated with a proper data architecture in place. So it is critical that the proper structures for data warehousing and for populating the warehouse and integrating the warehouse with the various components of a Salesforce deployment to be properly set in place, in order for the integration not only to work smoothly, but also to have a scalable deployment.
Just to add some words here about our team, basically taking into consideration all these tools, in the last 2 years we managed to double our teams, and right now our team is made by data engineering team, DevOps teams, and the support team. and we are working together in order to have all this data environment in place.
Correct. Going into Carrefour, which is basically one of the successes that we have had in the data analytics projects that we have implemented. So as a short history, Carrefour issued in 2021 an RFP where basically they evaluated multiple data integration solutions. I would say that the RFP was quite extensive because we would recommend to any customer, such RFP should cover both the current needs and the forecast needs in terms of, in this case, data integration. Okay, so even though the RFP requirements were pretty extensive, still Talend was the preferred tool of choice. Once the Talend platform was implemented, Carrefour took a very swift decision to converge all data integration activities towards Talend. That means that basically Carrefour is relying on Talend in order to have a single platform for data integration, to have a single point to manage, for example, database credentials, and the last but not the least, to be able to do streamlined governance. Carrefour is currently undergoing a massive digital transformation program, and as you will see further on, governance is key in such a deployment. Currently, Carrefour is leveraging the features of Talend Cloud platform to the max. We will discuss on the fact that Carrefour has a hybrid deployment where multiple features of the Talend Cloud platform are used. And we are also happy to say that Carrefour trusted Talend to provide certain features that were not initially planned, but when they discovered the basically stability and scalability of the Talend platform, then they started to leverage more and more features. At this moment, 2.5 years down the line, there are more than 60 use cases in production in various shapes and formats, covering from daily batch ETLs to 2-minute ETLs and to integrations performed via APIs. We recently launched a public success story with Carrefour where they mentioned that their development speeds were increased by 75% by the use of Talend Data Fabric. This is very important because, as you well know, whenever there is such a digital transformation program, everything needs to be done yesterday. We are living in an agile world where we need to be agile in front of our customers, in front of our management, in front of our budgets, so to speak. So the speed of development was very, very important to Carrefour. A bit more details on the environment. So first of all, Carrefour has a strategy to leverage the Google Cloud Platform infrastructure, GCP. And within this platform, they have multiple source databases. At this moment, they still have on-prem and GCP-based databases that they need to be as source of data for the ODS and data warehouse. So we are basically integrating the data from many source systems into ODS and data warehouse. And of course, we have extensive mechanisms for logging all the data activities for multiple purposes. Here we are leveraging heavily the functionality of remote engine clusters that that is provided by Talend Data Fabric. So basically, we have, for example, in the production environment, we have multiple clusters composed of either 2 or 3 or 4 engines. which basically serve the role of load balancing multiple jobs that are running in parallel, but also jobs that are require high availability. Okay, it is important, it is necessary to deploy a cluster for production environments for such reasons, for load balancing and high availability. Moreover, we are leveraging this clustering technology in order to do maintenance on the remote engines, such as, for example, operating system updates, while production is running without impacting the production. Yeah, because in a cluster we can take down one node, do maintenance, and bring it back up in the cluster, and this is without disturbing the regular production runs. As mentioned, we have integrations that are running even every 2 minutes or 5 minutes. So it is important not to disrupt this kind of execution, not even for 10 minutes. Moreover, Carrefour is making use of multiple third-party apps for multiple purposes. So they wanted to have real-time integration for certain scenarios. So basically, the best solution that was chosen is basically to deploy APIs that were created in Talend on runtime engines in the production environment. That would basically host the APIs and then do the required transformation operations in the background. So basically, here we deployed runtime engines. And in order to provide load balancing and high availability, we added load balancers in front of the runtime engines for the purpose of naturally, as I mentioned, high availability and load balancing. By the fact that that Carrefour could leverage the same technology for building these flows in the Talend Data Fabric platform, because basically APIs that are developed in Talend are using the same technology, the same flow technology, and the same execution platform. It was very easy for Carrefour to adopt such a solution. Okay.
Also, in this whole ecosystem, we are using Talend Management Console to orchestrate all the Talend pipelines. And also, this Management Console is used to monitor all the actions on Talend. Basically, for Talend Management Console, we are using Talend Studio. Talend Studio is also used as a tool in order to create pipelines, to develop pipelines in Talend Studio. So all the teams that are currently involved in this project, they are developing pipelines, new pipelines, and everything is pushed on Talend Management Console in order to orchestrate everything. Currently in Carrefour, we have 3 external vendors involved. So basically, 3 teams are working in parallel using Talend Studio and Management Console to orchestrate everything. In Carrefour, they are using also the Bitbucket, Confluence, and Jira as the tools, as the main tools. Bitbucket is mainly used for all the Talend repositories. So we are pushing everything there in order to make sure that everyone has access to the right repositories. Also, Confluence is used for documenting everything, and Jira to create tasks and to ensure that all the projects are done.
Sorry. Sorry. I was saying that this is maybe one of the most important points today in terms that Talend Cloud allows for any customer to scale their deployment and to involve multiple teams. So given the fact that we are basically, as Anna was saying, we are using Bitbucket for code repository, we are using Confluence for documentation. On top of that, we have very strict procedures where any developer that is developing anything in this platform has to abide to the same development guidelines, to the same documentation guidelines, and we also even have stage gates that nobody can promote anything to production unless certain checks are being carried out. So this is very important for the scalability of the platform, but also for the stability of the platform. On top of the development teams, in Talent Management Console, we have separate roles for the operators who are monitoring the execution of the jobs. They are doing the basic troubleshooting using Talent Management Console. We have the security supervisors from Carrefour who are basically validating that everything that is deployed in the environment complies to Carrefour security policies. And we also have the overseeing eye of our enterprise architects who are basically making sure that governance is there and that everything is respected to the book. This kind of platform allows for multiple use cases to be implemented in a seamless manner. So we have regulatory use cases that, especially nowadays when even our government has become more digitized, they are very important. Of course, there are many requirements from Carrefour Group, both in financial and operational areas. And I wouldn't say the last, but extremely important, the operational. So the way Talend platform is implemented is making a huge impact in the way data is being carried back and forth between the stores. There is a huge amount of data exchanged, even in real time, between stores and headquarters, between stores and warehouses and delivery hubs, in order to make sure that customer experience is enhanced to the max. So me as a Carrefour customer, I can see this kind of changes, and I can see that Carrefour really stands out in front of their competition in this regard. A bit more details on the use cases. So with Talend, as I was mentioning, we are implementing regulatory use cases. So in terms of regulatory, there is one statement that we need to provide to the government. It's called SAFTI. It's basically an accounting statement that basically needs to collect all transactions within the reporting month, validate it, reconcile it, pack it, and send it to the government. This is for many companies, I know from experience, it's quite a troublesome task, especially for companies at the level of Carrefour due to the sheer volume of transactions and of course to the strict deadlines that the statement must be submitted once the calendar month is closed. So in a way, Talend was here, let's say, the right tool at the right time, because when the requirements for SAFTI were issued by the government, Talend was already in place, and Talend was the natural choice for implementing the SAFTI regulatory requirement. As I was mentioning, our government is on the verge of digitization, and we introduced recently the electronic invoicing, where basically with Talend, given the internal structure of Carrefour, we are collecting data from the applications that are issuing the electronic invoices. We are enriching this data with other information from the back office, mostly related to products and stores, and we are sending it to the government. again, it's a massive amount of invoices, and of course, everything needs to be perfect. So we have to keep in line the product catalogs, the store catalogs, and so on. And we always need to make sure that everything we are doing in terms of electronic invoices is always logged to the lowest level of detail. Similar but different, Romania has introduced the electronic transport, where basically it states that any shipment that that you have, either it's within your own warehouses, either you receive a shipment or you send out a shipment, you have to declare its contents to the government prior to the truck leaving the premises. So basically, we have another example of real-time integration that is handled by Talend by the use of APIs, where basically whenever a shipment is being prepared, we are collecting the data of its contents, enriching it with the product information and shipment information that is requested from the government, uploading it to the government, getting this unique ID, and sending it back to the actual person who is driving the truck. This is very important for Carrefour because, of course, Carrefour has a very clear statement that they will comply to the local regulations. But on top of that, the government will issue a fine for each transport that doesn't have this kind of unique identification. Given the fact that Carrefour has several thousand shipments per day, then obviously there is a potential, a very big financial impact in terms of whether this shipment is working or not.
Another use for Talend in Carrefour is for financial and operational data. So basically, before Talend, this was almost impossible for Talend to achieve, let's say, financial reporting. Using Talend, Carrefour managed to consolidate all the data through Talend pipelines, to consolidate all the data into a data warehouse. And basically right now, all the financial and operational reporting is based on that data from that warehouse, where everything is consolidated, everything is proper, and the reports are right.
In terms of operational use cases, basically Carrefour has implemented a significant number of operational use cases for exchanging data between the headquarter, for example, pricing, and the stores, because the stores need to know when the prices are updated and for which products, and also the promotions. Okay. Moreover, there is a real-time communication between the stores and hubs, where basically the merchandise is being held in the warehouse, in order for the stores to be able to order merchandise that is being sold, and to make sure that whatever they need, it is shipped in the fastest way possible. There are also other use cases. So Carrefour is integrated with food couriers. And also Carrefour has its own food courier, Bringo, that basically requires access to such real-time data in multiple situations. On top of this, there is a huge amount of analytic scenarios in various departments, such as finance and marketing, in retail, and so on, that are relying on the data that is uploaded by Talend into the data warehouse in order to run the analytic scenarios. Like any company that is doing, for example, promotions, they are always analyzing what is the success of the promotions that they did, what is the response of their customers to the promotions, and so on. Another important set of analytics is in terms of finance, not only the typical revenue and P&L use cases, but also related to efficiency of costing strategies, of efficiency of pricing strategies, and so on. So basically, looking at the overall picture, Talend has become a central part in the data operations of Carrefour. What it takes to reach this stage? So first of all, the customer and the vendor need to work in very, very close partnership.
So basically here we have a rule for everyone. We are telling the customer that we are not doing this project for them. We are doing this project with them. It is very important to have this in mind because basically it needs to work strongly with the customer in order to achieve everything. So basically, we need all the teams involved, and we need all the people involved in this project to be aware of everything. So the relationship between the vendor and the customer needs to be really, really good in order to achieve everything.
Correct. The other point is that governance is key. So we are evangelizing the idea that such governance should be enforced in any data integration project from the beginning. It is important to set up the proper policies and procedures, and of course the additional tool set from the beginning in order to make sure that any deployment that we do is scalable. In IT, we have a saying. We say that nothing is more permanent than something temporary. So please don't go for workarounds. Set up the proper Git repositories. Set up the documentation templates. They might be updated over time, but it's important to have as much as possible a standardized way of working. The standardized way of working allows, for example, Carrefour to have streamlined onboarding of new colleague or of new resources that are joining this big project. Without such governance, it would have been very, very difficult. Another advantage is the fact that it's quite easy to offboard resources whenever they are going on vacation or they are switching position. Then the overall deployment does not depend on the knowledge of a specific person, right? This kind of governance also is helpful in streamlining support activities, right? Because whenever a support engineer has to support an increasing number of integrations in Talend, then standardization is key. Otherwise, it's not scalable. So we simply cannot scale a support team based on how many integrations we're doing. That's not scalable. And this kind of governance, as I mentioned, helped Carrefour to increase such development speeds in order to meet the ever-growing demands of their business as part of the digitalization program. Also, vision and roadmap. So we are happy that in Carrefour we have the vision of top management for the all the let's say aspects of the digital transformation program, and it is always important to build a roadmap with the customer. Why? Because a roadmap will set let's say soft milestones in time. It will allow for proper resource planning both from the customer and the vendor, and it will ensure the consistent execution of the roadmap, fulfilling the vision. So in general, this is what we wanted to share about our success with Carrefour Romania. And if you have any questions, please post them in the Q&A panel. Of course, make sure to join in the other sessions that are prepared by Talend and Talend partners throughout the week. I had a sneak peek, and I know that they are very, very interesting. So please make sure to join.
Thank you, Alex and Anna, for this useful and very interesting case. I haven't seen any question in the Q&A at the moment. I have a question, let's say
Please.
this way. So the question is my side from the beginning. So let's say, how can a customer, and not talking about such a big as Carrefour, but let's say a mid-market customer, or let's say, so not the biggest customers, recognize that they need to make such a project? I understand that there is also enforcement from the government, right? Because of the digitalization. This is one thing. But the other side, from internal perspective, what would be your recommendation?
Even for smaller customers, they also need to some level data integration activities. So in our customer portfolio, we have medium and we also have small customers that are implementing data integration, of course, with various needs and with various volumes and so on. But the idea is that whenever you invest in data integration, and you invest because you need to, you need either for regulatory, either for internal needs, or for both. Okay, and when you invest, either you invest in licenses, in contracting services, or your own resources, is still an investment. And if you, when you do such investment, do it right. To be honest, I can't think of a company that doesn't require at any level some sort of data integration. The point is that there are certain principles that should be applied, and these kind of principles are driven from what we call common practices that we learned in the course of times from, let's say, the real life in multiple implementations. And they should be applied regardless of the company size or structure, because they provide scalability, they provide economies of scale in terms of costs, and so on. We have a question from Thomas. I would like to know more about the standardized way of working with Talend. It's a very, very interesting topic, the way btProvider is using Talend. GitLab exists for every environment separately. What is the deployment process? Okay, there are multiple questions, so thank you, Thomas. So first of all, standardized way. As you know, Talend Studio, for example, is what you see is what you get. So it's a visual development IDE. In Talend Studio, the same task may be achieved in multiple ways. We are proposing a standard way of working that we apply in each and every project that we're doing. So, for example, relying on context for defining local and global variables. We are relying on concepts like master job. So we are basically building atomic jobs that are serving a certain function, and then we are assembling it in a master job. This makes it very very easy to monitor, to troubleshoot, but also to perform maintenance with various change requests. Here, Talend is really helping a lot, because this kind of feature was built in Talend from the early beginnings, and we are making heavy use of it. In terms of GitLab, I would say that GitLab is a must, both from technical perspective, but also from, let's say, organization perspective, because basically any code that is generated in Talend will be stored and versioned in GitLab. As you can see, you're not restricted to GitLab. We are using Bitbucket in Carrefour, for example, so because it's basically the same standard. Thomas, if you're asking about the deployment process for specifically GitHub, this is pretty much straightforward. I mean, you have the GitHub GitLab repository, you assign the proper permissions, and the only question, in my opinion, is what is the project split? Okay, because this kind of decision is based on each deployment in order to decide how to split the projects. So the big question is, do you have a single big, large GitHub project, or you have multiple GitHub projects that are divided based on their function? This is a question that requires more in-depth discussion, and it's very, very heavily dependent on each deployment.
If there is no further question from the attendees, I would like to thank you, first of all, Alex and Anne, for the excellent and very well prepared presentation and the very detailed one. We are happy that we could present this one. Thank you again for this one. We would like to thank you to the attendees to participate on this webinar. Feel free to contact us if you have any questions regarding this case study, or if you would like to hear more about Click Talend product portfolio. We are happy to help. We are happy to support you, answer all of the questions, and looking forward to see you in the next session. You still have time to ask questions during that session, so you still have time to think about it. And yeah, thank you very much. Wish you a nice day. Hear you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you also.